Hey folks, want to jump on here and shoot a quick solo podcast episode. This one's going to be on ARR. For those of you who've never heard about it, that is absolutely no problem. I think it's going to be a little less technical today. We've been talking about a number of different artificial intelligence, AI products, and coding and engineering. That said, let's get into the show. So, annual recurring revenue, ARR, is a key metric used by subscription-based businesses, especially SaaS, to measure predictable revenue expected over a 12-month period. What ARR means: ARR equals the total value of recurring subscription revenue normalized to 1 year. It only includes revenue that repeats every year and excludes one-time payments. Example, customer A pays $100, per month. Customer B pays $1,200 per year. ARR calculation: A is $100 multiplied by 12 equals $1,200. B is $1,200. Total ARR is $2,400. Basic ARR formula: ARR equals sigma. There's a bracket, annual value of active subscriptions, end bracket. For monthly subscriptions, ARR equals MRR multiplied by 12, where MRR equals monthly recurring revenue. This may be a little bit, this may be a little bit complex. Hopefully I'm doing my best to simplify it. Let's continue. What counts in ARR included subscription fees, recurring licenses, recurring support/maintenance fees, auto-renew contracts. Exclude one-time setup fees, consulting/services revenue, hardware sales, usage-based revenue, sometimes excluded depending on model. ARR components companies track. Businesses usually break ARR into categories: new ARR from new customers, expansion ARR, upgrades/add-ons, renewal ARR, customers continuing subscriptions, churned ARR, lost from calculations, new net or net new ARR, growth after churn. Example ARR growth calculation: start of year ARR is $1 million, changes during the year, new ARR plus $300,000, expansion ARR plus $1,500, churned ARR minus $100,000, final ARR $1 million plus $300,000 plus 1,500 minus 100,000 equals 1,350,000, ending ARR $1.35 million. Why ARR is important? Investors and companies use ARR to measure growth rate, predictable revenue, customer retention, company valuation. SaaS companies are often valued as company value approximately ARR multiplied multiple. Typically 5x to 15x ARR depending on growth and profitability. Simple way to remember: ARR, the yearly value of all your active subscriptions. Let's go over to Claude.ai and see if they have anything different. I think it's very similar. Annual recurring revenue, ARR, is the annualized value of all recurring revenue from active subscriptions or contracts. It's the North Star metric for SaaS and subscription businesses. The basic formula: ARR equals total active subscriptions multiplied by annual contract value, or if you work in monthly figures, ARR equals MRR multiplied by 12. What counts towards ARR? We talked about this already: recurring subscription fees, annual or multi-year contracts normalized to a year, recurring add-ons or seed expansions. What does not count? One-time setup or implementation fees, professional services, non-reoccurring payments. We already talked about a lot of this. Why it matters: ARR gives investors and leadership a stable, forward-looking view of revenue, smoothing out the noise of one-time payments and showing the true health of the business. Here are some well-known companies that report or commonly evaluate using ARR, annual recurring revenue. These are mostly SaaS or subscription-based businesses where recurring revenue is the core model. Number one, Salesforce. Company Salesforce, industry, CRM, which we talked about already on the podcast, / enterprise SaaS. Business model, subscription software, CRM, sales, service, marketing tools. Salesforce is one of the largest SaaS companies in the world. Most of its revenue comes from annual subscriptions to its cloud products. Approximate ARR scale, over $30 billion plus annual recurring revenue equivalent. Examples of subscription products, presuming USD, that would be 30 billion. Sec. 30, oh great, my 30 billion plus USD in AUD. $30 billion USD is approximately 41.81 billion Australian dollars AUD, based on the exchange rate as of 11 March 2026. Currency conversion snapshot, total amount 41.8 billion AUD. Happy days. Well, excuse me, not happy days, but it's just good to know. There's a show, by the way, side tangent, for those of you that may be a little too old to remember, there was a show called That's Happy Days. It's a sitcom in 1974. There were 11 seasons. Fonzie's best moments, some of the characters, the cast. We'll get back to the show in a sec. We have Marion Ross, Marion Cunning, Henry Winkler, jeez. Fonzie, Ron Howard, Richie Cunningham. And then you have Anson Williams, Potsy Weber, Aaron Moran, Joanne Cunningham, Don Most, Ralph, Tom Bosley, Howard Cunningham, Scott. Very interesting. Scott Baio, Chiachi Archola, Al Molinaro, Al Delvio, and then there's a few, the cast keeps going, so I won't continue. Let's get back into it. Salesforce is one of the largest SaaS companies in the world. Most of its revenue, we already talked about that. Approximate ARR scale, over 30 billion plus annual recurring revenue equivalent, USD. Examples of subscription products, SaaS Cloud, Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud. Number two, Adobe Creative Cloud. Company Adobe, industry, creative software. Business model, subscription software. Adobe shifted from one-time software purchases to subscription, like Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Premiere Pro. Creative Cloud alone generates billions in ARR through monthly / annual subscriptions. Shopify, company Shopify, industry e-commerce platform, business model SaaS subscription for online stores. Merchants pay monthly subscription fees for online store software, payments, analytics, apps. These recurring subscriptions contribute heavily to Shopify's ARR. Jeez. Number four, Zoom. Company, Zoom Video Communications Industry, video conferencing / SaaS, business model, subscription plans for businesses. Companies pay recurring fees for video meetings, webinar hosting, phone systems. Zoom tracks enterprise ARR from large customers, a key metric investors watch. Number five, Atlassian. Company Atlassian, founded in Australia, industry developer and collaboration tools, business model, SaaS subscription. Popular products include Jira, Confluence, Trello. Aslan earns billions in recurring revenue from subscriptions. Key insight, ARR is mainly used by subscription software companies because their revenue repeats every year. Common industries using ARR, software, SaaS, fintech platforms, streaming services, subscription apps, cloud infrastructure. Let's talk about startups for a sec. We're 10 minutes in, we'll keep this under 15. Here are some startups that reach 100 million annual recurring revenue ARR very quickly. In SaaS, hitting $100 million ARR is considered a major milestone, often called, quote, centaur status, end quote. I'm presuming USD as well, one sec. 100 million ARR in AUD from USD. One sec, 100 million USD in AUD. I believe it's 141 million AUD. It says it's 139, which was presuming today on the exchange rate 9 minutes ago. Yeah, I think it's 139. That would round up to 140 million dollars. Is considered a major milestone. Stripe is one of the companies. Stripe, industry fintech / payments infrastructure. Founded in 2010, reached $100 million ARR in approximately 2 to 3 years. Stripe provides developer APIs for payments used by millions of online businesses. Customers include companies like Shopify, Amazon, Lyft. Stripe became one of the fastest growing fintech startups ever. Slack company, Slack Technologies. Industry, workplace collaboration software. Founded in 2013, reached $100 million ARR about 2.5 years. Excuse me, that was a mistake there, by the way. I meant to say industry, workplace collaboration software, founded in 2013. Slack grew extremely fast because teams adopted it bottom up inside companies. Later acquired by Salesforce for $27.7 billion. Zoom Video Communications, industry video communication SaaS, founded in 2011, reached $100 million ARR, presuming USD in approximately 4 years. We talked about around 140 million AUD. Zoom grew through simple UX and reliable video calls, becoming dominant during remote work growth. Atlassian, which we already talked about. Company Atlassian, industry developer collaboration tools, founded 2002 in Australia, reached 100 million ARR in approximately 8 years. Key products, Jira, Confluence. They famously grew without a traditional sales team early on. Maybe we'll talk about them another day. Datadog on their own episode, on Atlassian's own, well, not yet. Datadog. Company Datadog, industry cloud infrastructure monitoring, founded 2010, reached 100 million ARR USD, approximately 5 years. Datadog helps companies monitor services, cloud apps, and infrastructure. Customers include Samsung, Airbnb. What makes startups reach $100 million ARR fast? The fastest companies usually have product-led growth. Users adopt before sales. Developer tools or infrastructure. Huge market, B2B SaaS, software as a service, that is. Number 4, usage expands inside companies. Typical ARR milestones: $1 million ARR product market fit, 10 million ARR scaling stage, 100 million ARR major SaaS company. Fun fact, some of the fastest startups ever to reach $100 million ARR reached it in less than 2 years. Examples include OpenAI, Anthropic, Cursor, because AI infrastructure demand exploded. All right, I think we're just up on 15 minutes, or we're just at 15 minutes, excuse me. One big thing about ARR. One big thing about ARR, annual recurring revenue, is predictability of revenue. ARR tells you how much revenue a company can reliably expect every year from existing customers. Because subscriptions renew automatically, companies can forecast their future income much more accurately than businesses that rely on one-time sales. Example, imagine two companies. Company A, subscription model, 10,000 customers, $100 per year subscription, ARR equals $1 million $1 million. They can reasonably expect about $1 million next year minus churn. Company B, one-time sales, must sell new products every year to generate revenue. Next year's revenue is uncertain. Why investors love ARR? Investors value companies with ARR because it means reoccurring customers, predictable growth, lower revenue volatility, higher company valuation. This is why many SaaS companies trade at multiples of ARR. For example, 5x to 15x ARR depending on growth. Simple way to think about it, ARR turns revenue from, quote, we hope people buy again next year, end quote, into, quote, we already have contracted revenue for next year, end quote. That predictability is the single biggest reason ARR is so important in SaaS and subscription businesses. Thanks for listening, folks. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.